If you think rounding your back is bad, then stay tuned for this video. It might change your mind. I used to be like you, thinking my spine needed to be 100% rigid under load and there's no room for bending and extending. And I think a lot of people would agree with this sentiment. That's wrong, because of this idea and this dogma has led to our bodies being underdosed of flexing, turning, bending, and extending. The issue is you're not going to get injured if your back is rounded. You're going to get injured if your back is rounded under a load that it cannot support, just like any other exercise. If you were to load up 500 pounds on the bench press right now and did perfect form, everything you're used to, but as soon as you unrack the bar, you're just gonna collapse because your body is not used to holding that amount of weight. So you're going to get injured. Same thing with exercises where you round your back. It's not the movement that's dangerous, it's how it's being loaded. So a great exercise to help your mobility and your spine health, to me, are rounded back Zercher deadlifts or good mornings. I don't know what to call them. I guess if you can go all the way to the floor, it's a deadlift. If you can't, it's a good morning. It's not that big of a deal. Now, these are similar to Jefferson curls. You just do them in the crooks of your elbows, Zercher style. Now, I find this hits my back, like lats and up, in addition to the lower back, really freaking hard, like absurdly hard. And I don't know why, but I like it. That's the number one benefit I'd see from this. But what you don't want to do with this exercise is load it up heavy to where the weight is pulling you downward. You should be responsible for the movement, not the weight pulling you downwards. That would be like having a forced stretch. And that's fine if you're just gonna drop it at the bottom. But if you're gonna come back up and you let the weight bring you down there, that's a recipe for disaster. That's something I don't suggest. Don't turn this into an ego exercise where the weight is pulling you downwards. You have to be responsible for going down with the weight. So that's benefit number one, enhanced flexibility and mobility. Number two, like I said, it targets some muscle groups you never would have thought of because you're bending and extending. So it's gonna hit your spinal erectors. I find it hits your lats. I don't even know why. It's gonna hit your upper back. It's gonna hit your lower back. And when your mobility gets good enough, it's definitely gonna hit your glutes and hamstrings as well. Number three, and I talked about this, greater spinal articulation. If you are trying to use this exercise for powerlifting purposes, this is probably not a good option. But for bodybuilding, possibly. For athletics, definitely, because you're bringing your spine through a range of motion that you might find yourself in your sport. Having better control over your spine, that's what spinal articulation is always going to be a benefit. Developing resilience in a flexed position. Now, like I said, if you're always someone that would do good mornings and deadlifts and squats and any lower body exercise with a super rigid back, this is going to help strength and resilience in a position that you might consider suboptimal. Because life and sport and movement isn't always going to have you in those rigid, braced positions. So you might want to get better at being in this so-called suboptimal position. You can also do this exercise standard with a barbell like you would a deadlift. That'd be like a Jefferson curl. But I find this Zercher component just adds a little bit like je ne sais quoi, why it's so effective, but I like it. How would you program this? I definitely would not make this a main movement, especially if you are just starting out. You're not going to be able to get through the right range of motion and use an appreciable amount of weight to where this can be even considered a main movement. So what I suggest, you either make it a main assistance movement or near the end of your workout. 2 to 3 sets of 6 to 10 reps if you're doing it earlier in your workout. And then at the end of your workout, I suggest maybe 2 sets of max reps, but I wouldn't go higher than 20. If you've tried this exercise, let me know in the comments. If you tried it, come back, let me know how it went.